Hello and welcome back. Today's video is all about repairing a reverb tank in a tube amp, and so I'm going to take you through the process that I used, and hopefully it will help you if you do have this similar sort of problem.
This is Everything Guitar. I've got no reverb. Now the reverb's on 5 at the moment. Turning it up to 10. So the reverb's dead. I've checked the connections. You can run a multimeter on the plus and minus on the inside on the jack socket. I've continuity checked the wire. I know this wire is good, and I've run it to the other side of one of these jacks. So now when you're removing these, and this is an Accutronics reverb tank, there are 4, it's usually held in by screws in 4 places, 1, 2, and then on the back 3 and 4. And you can easily take the tank out for an inspection. So the first thing you really want to do is on the tank itself. This one is marked input and output. Just mark your sockets. So I've turned the amp off anyway, and I've just marked the socket with a little label. So I've got a label that says output, input, just in case. And that means that your tank is easily removable and ready for inspection. There's your transducer. There are 2 wires coming out of it, and then it goes into the socket there, and you just put a multimeter across the 2 and you can obtain some readings for both the output and input. That's the other side. So there's the socket and there's the transducer. Now to find out which tank you need to look up the serial number. So this one's one of these old Accutronics tanks that they often, made in USA. Fender amps always have these sort of things, and then you just have to go by the number. And then, so what you do is note your number, and then go and look up the replacement tanks, because Accutronics is long gone. So there are all these different companies that make reverb tanks. So you look up your number, and then you buy in a replacement.
But before you go ordering a new reverb tank, remember to test for this.
So with tubes, when you take them out, you can just use soft fibre cloth. You just want to keep the most important thing is nothing that can make it sizzle on the glass when it heats up. You want to seat it and just get it aligned. I just wanted to have a look at all of the preamp tubes. An easy way to check tubes is just to lightly tap them. I've got the volumes all up on 5. And you're just listening for any microphonic kind of sounds, not tapping them very hard at all. A bit more volume up. Put them all on 7. That one's a little bit resonant. plate. Yeah. So that one see, I'd say that one was more resonant than the others. So maybe I have my doubts about that tube. So that, I think I would proceed by swapping that one out. So I've got a spare tube here. In the slots, it goes in easy without having to force it. Swapping out preamp valves is a lot easier than swapping out power tubes. You do need to do a rebiasing if you do your power tubes. So swapping preamp tubes is quite a simple thing, and I think I'm going with that because that's less microphonic, and then it's ready for a test to see how it holds up. See some glowing in the right place, so it's definitely working, that one. Just letting it, I mean, I don't know what the history of this one is then, this Accutronics, but this has probably been in there since the early 80s. We had this amp in the studio in the 80s, and we never used, it was just a spare. To label that one as suspect. And then see if this one's ready for testing. So everything's on 4, all the volumes. Up to 5 across the board. And then it might be worth testing the reverb tank. I'm just testing the lead, the reverb tank. Just making sure that it's working. You can hear there's a hum. And the thing about reverb tanks is it's always to do with proximity. So when you're placing your tank inside the cabinet, you just want to make sure that you're nowhere near the areas that will pick up. That's the testing over. So tube was replaced. Reverb tank is now working where it wasn't before. So it's ready to put the reverb tank back in. But I've got a replacement tank to test. My volume's on 5. I've got a lot of hum, but get out of the way. So I've got the tank back in here. It's not screwed in yet, but So the valve here, tube, now it's replaced, reverb tank is working. That's what I assume anyway, because I didn't have reverb before, so having checked the lead, and I knew the lead was alright, I thought, well, I'll check the valves, but this tube here is now, seems to have been the culprit for why the reverb wasn't working. I've still got some sort of radiophonic quality that when I turn the reverb up, the tone changes. Got that sort of thing going. So there's a point where the transducer obviously is adding something. It's changing the quality of the sound. Well, at least I can say the reverb is working. So if this video has helped you, then why not subscribe? And why not check out some of our other videos? And you know the saying, those that can, do. And I should leave out the other bit that says, those that can't talk about it. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better guitarist by subscribing to the channel. All the best. Hasta luego.